about that play from LeBron. That was definitely the sweetest, the best looking, the prettiest. But in terms of difficulty, as Max pointed out, for Giannis to be defending, helping out, and then to switch and to go over for one leg and jump up to block DeAndre Ayton's alley-oop slam, I can't say enough about that play. That was a phenomenal play. Matter of fact, the most depressing part about being sick the last couple of days is the fact that I was supposed to be at that game last night, and I wasn't because the doctor said to me, you better not get on that plane. You won't be where
You'll be there Saturday.
Yeah, I know. He said, but you won't be good for Saturday if you had got on the plane yesterday to go to Milwaukee. That's why I wasn't there.
Load management.
Exactly. But I mean, my goodness.
Trust the process, Stephen A.
Trust the process.
Look,
that's what it is.
You and I were both at Game 7 in 2016.
Yeah.
And I went as a fan, paid my own way. I was like, no press pass. I want to buy a seat.
Yep.
Sat fifth row center court looking at the bench because I wanted to be there. You knew it was going to be historic, right? And it was. And even we can parse the words more. I can't even say Giannis's was more difficult.
I think it was.
It took more skill. But what LeBron did at 40 minutes into a game, in the last minute of a Game 7 against the greatest team of all time on the road, to run the length of the court and then pin the shot, and that was extremely difficult. It did not take the skill level, the precision of Giannis. Giannis, to everything he had to consider in that moment, and then to do it clean without fouling, in terms of skill level,
Fair enough.
We talk about some other skill level because we talked about Booker and bounce back games. Unreal. 42 wasn't enough, though, because Chris Middleton had 40 of his own and was huge down the stretch. Our friends at Elias tells he's just the third player to score 10 points in the final 2 minutes and 30 seconds of the fourth quarter in the NBA Finals. Game over the last 50 years. He's joined
10 points in 2:30?
Yes. Unbelievable, right?
The fourth quarter of a
Right? He joined James Jones and Danny Ainge. Here's Giannis and Booker.
We wanted this bad, and the team showed it tonight, but we got to keep getting better. We got to keep taking steps forward and keep playing good basketball.
You had the huge night, 42 points. How are you even rationalizing having the big night, but you guys not being able to finish the game and come home?
It doesn't matter at all. I said that after last game, too, when I struggled shooting it. The main objective is to win the game, so anything that goes on throughout the game, it doesn't matter for real.
I like the prototype. Did the Bucks win it, or did the Suns give it away?
Bucks won that game. The Bucks defended home court, and they won that game. By the way, Giannis, we talk about the back-to-back 40-point, 10, board games. That kind of double-double's only been done once before in finals history, and that's by Shaq, right? But how about this game? And it didn't even seem like a monster game for Giannis. You talked about the stats, Molly, but think of how many ways he contributed. The defensive play, right? So he's one of the greatest of all time. 26, 14 boards, 8 assists. He's getting his teammates involved. 3 steals and 2 blocks. And one of them was among the greatest of all time. Giants Daily, they're a good Twitter follow, had this on Giannis since game 2 of the Nets series, 41-13, 42-12, 33-9-11, 25-9-6, 34-12, 40-13, 30-17, 34-12, 34-12, 33-14. This is what he does. So he showed up as Giannis, and he had to. Then what kind of help did he get? Middleton, we just went over that. I don't need to regurgitate it. It was amazing. Drew Holiday struggled offensively. You know what he didn't struggle doing? Defending Chris Paul. I mentioned it. Guys, larger guards can torch Drew Holiday. They've done it before. But you put Drew Holiday on a smaller guard, you can't do better than that. And Drew Holiday's not just a guy there to play defense. He can help your team offensively in a lot of ways, though he wasn't hitting shots last night. So Holiday's playing defense on Chris Paul. Middleton's going bananas when you need him, ending with 40 points. Giannis is doing his thing. Brook Lopez was getting in on it. Stephen A. That was a team effort. They held down the fort when they had to.
Well, I'm not going to say that Milwaukee didn't win it. I'm just going to focus on the Phoenix Suns. I'm going to focus on the Phoenix Suns for a couple of reasons. Number one, Devin Booker showed up last night in a very big way. but he's the first person that I've ever seen in the history of the NBA Finals that should have found out 4 times. Should have found out 4 times.
Diplomatic immunity.
Come on. He mugged Drew Holiday. That was a foul. You know, that layup by Middleton should have been an and one. At least 2 other plays. He's the first dude in NBA history that I thought should have found out 4 times.
Even on the last play of the game, they kept him in the game.
4 times.
That's some good karma.
I mean, definitely so. And I didn't mind it. It's like, listen, go ahead and take it away. Because, listen, if Devin Booker hadn't found himself, if he hadn't picked up that 5th foul, I believe the Phoenix Suns go home 3-1. And they're about to close this out on Friday. Devin Booker was absolutely unstoppable last night, except he picked up that 5th foul. And when he picked up that 5th foul and had to go to the bench, I forgot how much time was remaining, but it was around 6 minutes or whatever. That's when they made their comeback because they couldn't stop him. They had no answer for him. And inexplicably, Mike Budenholzer, yet again, I don't understand why he would not double just to get the ball out of Devin Booker's hands. He wouldn't do it. He would not do it. So I was just shocked by that. That's number 1. Number 2, this kid right here, Cameron Johnson, got 28 points last night. Monty Williams, my coach of the year. Thibodeau was number 2. You got to get Cam Johnson more shots. He got 6 shots. This brother can play, y'all, and there's no nervousness whatsoever. This brother can shoot the rock. Get him in the game. I say give him more than 28 minutes. I'd say make sure you get him more than 6 shots in 28 minutes. Cam Johnson can ball. Ask Mike Wilbon how many. We up there sitting together, watching the games, Max, all series long. I was like, Cam Johnson. Get him the ball. This brother, he's athletic and he can shoot and ain't scared and wants the ball. He got to shoot more, number 2. And number 3, Chris Paul, he's not well. Something's not right. 15 turnovers in 3 games. Ladies and gentlemen, for anybody that thinks I'm giving Chris Paul a pass, I am not. Let me be very, very clear. Just use your common basketball sense. Chris Paul with 15 turnovers in 3 games.
He had COVID like a week ago.
I'm just saying, Chris Paul with 15 turnovers in 3 games. It does not happen. It does not happen. Something is wrong with Chris Paul. Now, I will say this to Chris Paul. You got to suck it up, baby. You got to summon whatever is in you because Chris Paul, that pivotal turnover with 32 seconds last night, sealed the deal. I mean, we get all of that. The point is, again, if you CP3, you might have lobbed it to DeAndre Ayton instead of Devin Booker doing that. But then again, knowing the personnel the way that you do, you might have made a different decision. The point that I'm making is CP3, you don't have to go out there and drop 40 the way that you did against the Clippers in the closeout game 6. You don't even have to drop 30 like you did in game 1. All you have to do is be a floor general, control the offense, and minimize the turnovers. The last couple of games in Milwaukee, CP3 has hurt the Phoenix Suns. He hasn't helped them. He's hurt them. And I believe it's because he's hurting, but this is the NBA Finals. This is it. 36 years of age. This is it for you, bro. This is the time. You got to summon up whatever is inside of you to be that floor general. Because if Chris Paul's the floor general that he's supposed to be, Max, and Devin Booker plays the way that he played last night, Phoenix wins this series.
He will.
But you need both.
You
need both.
Let's not forget a flu game type performance.
Let's not forget,
both
against Denver. I want to respond to those points. 1, 2, 3. Let's start with Chris Paul. Against Denver, he played the best basketball of his career, and he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. That's saying something. Then he gets COVID. Then he comes back, and he's clearly not the same, right? And if that series would have ended, if Kawhi would have played and that would have ended, I don't know, in game 5 or 6, we would have said Chris Paul choked or he was dealing with something. But when it mattered most, he came through. I anticipate we're going to see the same thing here.
That's what I'm anticipating.
But time will tell. That's 1.
But 2. I can't use COVID as an excuse, Max, when you came back after COVID and you still closed the Clippers out and you dropped 30 plus in game 1. I can't use it. I
imagine that takes everything in him to do that, you know, and then you got to go to the – we've seen what happened with Cam.
I see what you're saying.
The next thing is Cam, speaking of Cam Johnson.
Okay.
Cam Johnson was a starter. He was supposed to be the starter. He and Mikal Bridges were like perfect 3-and-D guys. Apparently, and I wasn't watching his defense this closely, though I watched a lot of Suns this year, his defense was so bad, they felt like they couldn't start him. I agree with you again, though. He's so athletic and shoots so well and isn't scared of the moment. You got to give him some burn, and they're giving him some burn like he is getting minutes.
But I'm talking shots.
Yeah, give him some shots. The ball.
I'm talking shots. And he got more opportunities that he can light it up. I believe in Cam Johnson. They better get him in.
Yeah.
He needs to get more shots.
The Suns have the best, I think, the better starting five in the series and the best guy who's not a starter in the series in Cam. All right, that's 8 on Booker's. He's out, folks. And it's the end of the game. They still didn't call the foul. You don't even need to keep him in the game at that point. It was unreal.
They still didn't call it, but I got to tell you, we can crucify the referees all we want to. And certainly they've had enough bad moments this year. Through all of the stuff that we've seen officials do throughout this season, I love the fact that they were so hesitant. Only because, guess what? We sitting here and there's no excuses. You know, the fact of the matter is that when you want to see the best players out on the court and you want to see them deciding the outcome. Again, he should have fouled out. But there were fouls in the first 5 fouls. There were fouls there that were questionable, but there's no question he should have fouled out 4 different times.
I hear what you're
saying. 4 different
look,
times.
It's better for the refs to err on the side of caution if they don't know in the moment, all that stuff. The only thing I'll say is the way it turned out, the players decided it. What if the Suns would have won and Booker got away with 3 questionable fouls?
I feel you on that, but I'm not going to lie to you, Max. As a fan, I want to see the Milwaukee Bucks have to stop him.
Yeah,
have to stop. I just do. So don't get me wrong. I'm not encouraging that to continue because he should have fouled out 4 times, okay? But I thought, and the 5th foul was legit against him as well because he did bump P.J. Tucker on the baseline. But there were fouls in the first 4 that I thought a couple of them were questionable as well. So he was very lucky to stay in the game. But in the end, it came down to the players. And Middleton shined brightest when it really, really counted. But Devin Booker was absolutely unstoppable. Kobe would have been proud.
If I were Devin Booker, I'd see what I could get away with out on the referees aren't calling anything. Try to rob a bank or something while you're out there. You're not getting called on anything.
Well, you know what worries me about Booker, though? You knew you had a 5th foul. And a couple of those plays where you should have fouled out, it's like, what are you thinking? You know, that's where he really, really showed his youth. It's like, you know you got 5 fouls. How could you foul Holiday like that? How could you do something like that? I mean, because remember, it was still enough time. And I'm like, you got to be smarter than that. He's so talented.
Man on
you
a
got to
mission.
be smarter
He's
than
getting
that.
away with things. So let me ask you this now. Now that we're tied up at 2-2, as the series shifts back to Phoenix, we know you're headed there. Who has the edge?
I'm not going to lie to you. I still think that Milwaukee has the edge. All the pressure is on Phoenix. I will tell you that I still think Phoenix can win this series, but you must win Game 5. Milwaukee is not losing Game 6 at Milwaukee. I'm just telling you, just being there, and that fan and how rabid they are, and that was just with the game trying to tie the series. Imagine if you go down 3-2, and Milwaukee, that franchise hasn't been in the finals since the 70s. And stuff. I mean, that franchise is standing there, and they're 48 minutes away from a championship. I'm trying to tell you something right now. Being in that environment with that fan base and how hyped they are and what have you. I mean,
how thirsty.
That thirsty. There's Phoenix's youth and lack of depth. The combination of the two, I think, is too difficult to overcome a 3-2 deficit having to go to Milwaukee. They absolutely must win Game 5. Milwaukee is winning Game 6. So if you're Phoenix, you're looking to force a Game 7. Or you going home in 6. You're not winning Game 6, in my opinion. I don't believe it.
I think the rest of this series is so pressurized for the home team. They have to defend home. Because you're right about Milwaukee in Game 5, but then it's the same thing. About Phoenix in Game 5, but then it's the same thing for Milwaukee in Game 6. If Phoenix go, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Of course.
And I would just say that Chris Middleton needs to show up on the road the way he shows up at home.
I agree.
He needs to have, he can't have a role player mentality. He has to have a superstar mentality. And if he can show up on the road in Phoenix, especially the way Chris Paul looks right now, they have a hell of a shot.
Well, I will say this. Let's give Kendrick Perkins, some love here. When he pointed out, I think it was last night or this morning, I don't remember, that defending Drew Holiday, you can't ask him but so much offensively when you're asking him to pick up 75 to 90 feet for him to pick up Chris Paul. And even though we all know that Chris Paul isn't the same, let's give Budenholzer credit for this. It's not just Chris Paul in terms of his talent. He's looking at a guy that's 36 years of age. And he said, you're younger, you're bigger, you're fresher. Pressure that man. And now when you're spinning and you're moving and you're trying to be evasive, but you got a bigger, stronger, younger body.
More athletic.
Leaning on you that's more athletic. What happens is that it could very well be the combination of all of that combined with CP3's age and attrition. And remember, this is his first NBA Finals appearance. Last year, 2 years ago when he was in Houston, his first conference finals appearance. Chris Paul is not accustomed to playing this late. Budenholzer knew that and said, Drew Holiday, get on him. And Ezra and PJ Tucker, because that's his former teammate in Houston, he knew that too. And he said, pressure this brother and make him work. And that could very well be playing a pivotal role in all of this as well. So Chris Paul, getting back to him, he's going to have to gumption up something inside of himself that he didn't even know was there before, y'all, because he ain't never been in this position. This is it. And for the next 2-3 games, Chris Paul has to find, as great and illustrious as his career has been, 16 years in the league, this is the first time he has to summon up something that he may have never, he has to reach in some depths that he's never had to reach into before. That's what it's going to have to take.
We'll have more on him a little bit later. The Suns are favored by 4 in Game 5, and they're still narrow favorites to win the series, but those odds are closing in. CP3 has been stellar all postseason. We just talked about him at length. He rarely turns the ball over, but that has changed over the last few games. Is he starting to choke, or is it health? We'll discuss that with the fellas. Plus, Cam Newton says he's healthy for the first time in 5 years. Does that mean the Patriots are going to return to the playoffs and potentially the Super Bowl this season? What? Stay tuned.